Today I'm going to be talking about the MCHAT, which is a developmental screening tool which can be really helpful for parents who have questions about whether or not there is something going on with their child. Because of my personal experience, I always say that if you have those questions in your mind, the inkling that something is not quite normal, that it's a good idea just to go to your pediatrician to put your mind at ease, basically. Because your doctor would much rather hear from you and tell you everything's all right than have you out there stressed out and worrying and potentially ignoring signs that there's something going on, that there's something that could be addressed right now. One of the reasons that I am such a big fan of early intervention is that I really feel like it helped us learn how to communicate with our girls and all of our kids more effectively, and just learn strategies for helping them be less frustrated with the world. Because when the world doesn't understand what you're trying to tell them, when kids get to the age where they start to catch on to that, that can be extremely frustrating. And we really saw that with Maggie, and I knew when I realized that I was pretty sure Tessie was on the spectrum, I wanted to do everything I could to make sure she didn't get to that super frustrated point. And that is one of the main reasons that I am such a huge fan of early intervention, along with many, many others. But that's the one that I always give right away, is that it can really teach you how to communicate with a child who doesn't have a classical trajectory in their language development. So back to the MCHAT. You can bring the MCHAT on your computer up by Googling MCHAT, that's MCHAT, or you can go to m-chat.org. It's pretty easy to find, and then you just click on Take the MCHAT Screening Test. I have had a couple kids spectacularly fail, I guess you could say, the MCHAT, and some of those kids ended up being neurotypical, and some of those kids ended up being on the spectrum. So just because you get abnormal results on the MCHAT doesn't mean that your child's on the spectrum. It's just a screening tool, but it's really helpful to have this, to print it out, then take it into your doctor and say, hey, this is why I'm concerned. These are the reasons. It can just really help you explain to the doctor exactly why you're concerned. It's like a checklist of what your concerns are. So there's a little sign up, take it as a guest. As a guest, you get instant results. However, you will receive a limited test report. For the full test, register here. Okay, so I'll register. I was hoping my computer would remember me from the last time. Let's see. Okay, we're in. There's no children. Okay. Take the MCHAT screening test. Child information. We'll just say Tess. We're going to take this for Tess, and we are just going to make her birthday a year later because she's too old for this now. So question number 1. We're going to go over the actual question so you can see what this is like. If you point at something across the room, does your child look at it? For example, if you point at a toy or an animal, does your child look at the toy or animal? Heck, I could do this for Tessie now. Maybe I'm going to answer these questions for Tessie right now. And the answer is no. Have you ever wondered if your child might be deaf? Okay, so honestly, no, I haven't, because I was pretty confident that she was autistic from the very start. However, a lot of other people wondered if she was deaf. In fact, when she went to the YMCA little play center, what my kids called baby school, they thought that she was deaf there and that I just didn't know, or I hadn't told them or something. Does your child, so I am going to say yes for that one because a lot of other people wondered if she was deaf. Does your child play pretend or make believe? For example, pretend to drink from an empty cup, pretend to talk on a phone, or pretend to feed a doll or stuffed animal. I'm going to say yes. Occasionally she does. I mean, a lot of times it's like if I say do this, she'll copy what I'm doing sometimes. But occasionally she does pretend to ride her My Little Pony toy. So I'm going to say yes for that because that's imaginative play. Does your child like climbing on things? Yes. Yes, she does. Does your child make unusual finger movements near his or her eyes? Do they wiggle their fingers in front of their eyes? No. Does your child point with one finger to ask for something or for help? No. Does your child point with one finger to show you something interesting? Pointing to an airplane or a big truck in the road? No. Now, if I ask her to point to something in a book now, she will occasionally do that, but it's like a big reason to celebrate, and that's because she's worked really hard in it at school. But she still doesn't point to stuff when we're out to show me it. Is your child interested in other children? Does she watch other children, smile at them, or go to them? No. Does your child show you things by bringing them to you or holding them up for you to see, not to get help, just to share? For example, showing you a flower, a stuffed animal, or a toy truck? No. Does your child respond when you call his or her name? Does she look up, talk, or babble, or stop what she's doing when you call her name? No. When you smile at your child, does he or she smile back? No. Does your child get upset by everyday noises? For example, does your child scream or cry to noise such as a vacuum cleaner or loud music? No. She is very unresponsive to sound. Does your child walk? Yes. Sorry, I messed up with the date. You have to put like the 4-digit year. Does your child look you in the eye when you're talking to him or her, playing with him or her, addressing him or her? No. Does your child try to copy what you do? For example, with bye-bye, clap, or make a funny noise when you do? Okay, she has like one time with one thing, but generally no. If you turn your head to look at something, does your child look around to see what you're looking at? No. Does your child try to get you to watch him or her? Does she look for praise or say, look or watch me? No. Does your child understand when you tell him or her to do something? For example, if you don't point, can your child understand, put the book in the chair or bring me the blanket? I mean, I think she can understand it, but I'm going to say no because there's no like demonstrable way to say that she does do that. If something new happens, does your child look at your face to see how you feel about it? No. If something new happens, does your child look at your face to see how you feel about it? That was a no. Okay. Does your child like movement activities like being swung or bounced on your knee? Oh, definitely yes. Oh, that was it. 20 questions. It's only 20 questions. And then, risk for autism, plus the results of the screen suggest that there are some areas in which your child may not be developing like other child in his or her age group. There's a 90% chance that she has a developmental delay, and there's a 50% chance that he or she will have a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. If your child is at least 16 months of age and the results of the MCHAT were high risk, you're encouraged to speak with your child's pediatrician and call a genetic counselor as soon as possible. It showed that she had a high risk for autism, was what it was saying up above. I missed that part. So that was accurate. Now, so with Tessie, it was very obvious she had a lot of red flags. When I did the same test with James, I felt like he did amazingly. He was a couple of years old, and I must have been pregnant with Tessie, and I felt like he knocked the test out of the park. Like, I felt like he was so normal. And then I got a call from his pediatrician, and I don't think they had even put it in yet because they weren't that worried about it either. And then a few days later I got a call and I picked it up, and it was his actual pediatrician, like not the nurse, the pediatrician, which I think was maybe the first time a doctor from that office had called me themselves. And I was actually walking out of the geneticist's office with Maggie, and she said to me that he had 5 red flags, and she said it like 5 red flags was really, really serious. The way that she said it on the phone was like he has 5 red flags and we need to get him in for an ADOS as soon as possible. And I was completely shocked at the time. And we took him in, and obviously he didn't qualify. They said mild social affect, and that was that, and global developmental delay. And that was the results. He didn't have autism. So just because you have red flags on the MCHAT doesn't mean that you're going to have a diagnosis of autism, but it is a really good screening tool. And if you have questions, it is one of 2 tests that I would start with. The other is the Ages and Stages questionnaire, which is also extremely helpful in answering these sorts of questions. And I will be back next week, I hope, talking about that particular questionnaire and how it can be helpful. That is it for today. If you like this video, we would love it if you'd give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in all things autism, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.